goes up and it goes down. Life goes up and it goes down. Life goes up and it goes down.
Lovely grab. Wow.
We also have two lovely guests here. I'm going to throw to Hannah and introduce the guests and kick off our show tonight.
Thank you very much, Stefan. And didn't Liam and Lorcan look absolutely dashing in their suits? Real
yes.
Beautiful stuff.
Handsome Irish men.
Speaking of two players who always come to the field dressed to impress, Nicky Prien and Tobin Hirschenmeier, having a brilliant game today. Second half comeback, 5 points scored on the trot under some very interesting wind conditions. I think the phrase I tried to use is howl and a ghoulie or something like that. It's a Scottish phrase that I got very wrong. But what was it like actually being out there and playing against the winds in Limerick?
Is this a Torben question?
Seems so.
I think so.
Felt like a third team you were battling, honestly. Like, the Irish people gave us a very great fight, but even when we were playing defense, felt like the conditions kind of helped the defense a little bit, which forced some, I would say, uncharacteristic turns for both teams. Yeah, lovely Irish weather, right?
Well, what do you think was the adjustment that you made then in the second half to really kind of, get those 5 points on the board? Was it a mental thing, or was there something you were doing differently physically with your play style?
You want to go ahead?
I mean, I wasn't on for those 5 points, so that was great.
I don't think it was any active adjustment. I was talking to one of the ULTI.TV crew, I can't remember who. You just get used to the wind. So when we first started warming up on a different field, things felt kind of okay. Then the wind picked up again, the rain picked up again in the middle of the game, and you kind of hopefully don't make the same mistake twice and learn from your mistakes. So if you throw it away once, maybe don't try to throw again, or just throw it better. And I think both teams had these like small learnings within the game, what passes work, what cuts work, and which ones don't. And we're cutting those ones out.
I think that we mainly managed to kind of get our heads in the game in terms of playing bravely. And we were playing a little bit scared in the beginning for no good reason. And I think that changed. Maybe we had the feeling that we had nothing to lose now. Needed to get down a little bit to get up. But yeah, I think that for me was the main difference in our playing style for the second half.
Cool, brilliant. Well, it's definitely, I think, an advantage we learned from the last windy tournament we were at. With it's maybe a good idea to have a long warm up to, as you say, get used to the wind conditions as they change. So then, talking to your coaches, they were saying they were really proud that this season Germany have come together as one nation. Your women's open and mixed team have all been kind of, training camps together. What's it been like in the pre-season for this year?
So we had actually our last training camp was together with all three national teams together in one place. Went for dinner together, and we had the best thing about this training camp was that we had a practice game where the women of the mixed team were giving the women's national team a very hard-fought game, and the men, and then after the men of the mixed team against the open national team. And so there was real spirit of competitiveness, but at the same time also spirit of really cheering each other on and like playing to give them the best match possible to prepare the other teams also for this European Championships. And yeah, the atmosphere is great, and they were like our biggest fans. They were cheering in these conditions with the wind and the rain throughout the whole game, like very loudly for us. Yeah, I really appreciate how that actually works out to bring the whole like Team D together. And yeah, I think that that this last season World Games also really helped with that, because obviously there we played like all like people from all 3 national teams played together, very like spent like 1.5 very intense years together, and so now there is like the spirit of companionship.
And while we're sitting here in this lovely live show, all of Team Germany is getting together in one of the small corridors of one of the dorms, having a lovely time together with all 3 teams. And I think they're talking exactly about this. Let's cherish the moments that we can cheer for each other, and we can support each other from the sidelines and make such a big impact. So that's pretty cool.
It's one of the things I think people don't always appreciate about championships is that, yes, you have big moments on the field, but actually that vibe, the moments that you have off the field together, the companionship that it develops is a really big and really wonderful part of being, you know, a player at these championships levels. So my final question then, before we throw it to the rest of the crew, is, so talking about the one Team D, obviously we saw a very similar vibe with the under-24s division, with the kind of, you know, the open and the women's team both like supporting each other to glorious bronze medal successes. How did it feel as seniors players watching your kind of youth division coming through to that success at the world level?
For me personally, it was incredible because I've coached a lot of the men's players in the U17 division from 2016 to 2019. So it was very, very cool seeing all the people who I coached as 14, 15, 16-year-olds stepping up to the U24 division and getting a medal there. And I can only tell from my personal experience, all the group chats were blowing up during the games, especially during the bronze medal games. No kidding, 300 plus messages in 5 plus group chats for each of those games. And I felt like the entire ultimate community in Germany was supporting those teams from afar.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. I had a very similar experience with the group chats, and we're like doing live watching some of the games, like getting together in Berlin and like watching the games together. And
Don't mind Milan.
no, absolutely, I'm not distracted at all.
It's okay. Our set is blowing up like your group chats.
Additionally, I feel very excited because some of those players I didn't personally know super well beforehand. Before those, like I hadn't seen them play so much beforehand, but some of them are on the beach mix team, which I get to like co-coach this season, and I'm just so excited now seeing them play so well on grass, and like, yeah, just I'm very excited to get to play with them this season later on. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, do any of my other wonderful co-commentators have any questions?
I have a quick question, as always, and I'll let our other commentators. But about this game in particular, Jakob Diekman back, danger. He had a pretty good game. He was in a cast in Windmill a couple of weeks back now. You guys didn't quite get over the hump, but got to the finals game there. Missed out. Whether he makes the difference or not, how was it having him back in the roster today? And yeah, getting some contributions from him again.
It's amazing to have him back. He's an amazing player on and off the field. So he's like super athletic and like just a great deep threat, and he opens up the whole pitch like from an offensive point of view. It's just on the field amazing to have him back, and he had a great game, and I didn't see that he was in a cast a couple of days ago. I find this
Did he not? Am I wrong?
yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh my god.
First time ever.
No, he got his cast off a week ago, so we're yeah, a couple of 7 days.
Okay.
Yeah. And on the pitch and then off the pitch, he just also brings so much positivity and so much like good spirit to the warm up and to everyone, cheering everyone on, and yeah. So I think he's just an asset to the team. Anything to add?
No.
No. Okay.
We just had a little shot of the game stats on the screen there. Like, in a game where the conditions are unfavourable, we'll go with that. How important is having kind of that mental resilience to kind of accept that you're not going to be at your best and those errors are going to come and still fight through it?
I think it's very important that no matter the conditions, it's just important to make one less mistake than the opponent, I think. And in sunny 20 degrees weather, that might be 3 turns to 4 turns. And in those lovely conditions, it might be 36 to 37 turns. So it really doesn't matter. We said before the game, mistakes are going to happen, stupid ones, great plays from the opponents. And you just have to accept the fact that that's going to happen. Don't be mad about it. Just play for the next moment. Get it back on defense, because that's happened a lot of times that we got it back. And if you start to get frustrated over like uncontrollable things like the weather, wind, rain, I don't think you're going to end up on top at this tournament, because don't think it's going to be sunny and 30 degrees the entire rest of the week.
It's not?
So,
It's not. Oh my god,
yeah.
I'm shocked.
Try to limit your mistakes. Be okay with making mistakes. Do less than the opponent.
So yeah, I have one more question to top that things off, and I think you talked a lot about the mental part of the game, and I was wondering if you as a team or you as individual players on that team got any exercises to do in terms of preparing for this week or preparing as a player mentally, just to step on that field.
So as the O-line, we do have a ritual together, and we did not do it before the game, which kind of speaks to how we did not start this game off the way we should have. But we do have a circle together where we come together, where we have a specific rhythm and breathing thing and a saying thing and a clapping thing, and it's I think it's mainly about just doing it every single time and getting in a specific headspace together. I do feel this kind of mental exercise is more geared towards an O-line. As a D-line, I'm sure you need something else, maybe?
Yeah, I think on at least my D-line, it's mostly about trust, like being mentally resilient for us is about trusting each other on the field, that we're making the right decisions, that, I don't know, if I'm not at 100%, I can send somebody else on, who I know is at 100%, and it's feeling comfortable with making mistakes, with being vulnerable, also talking off the field, hey, how did that make me feel? Because throughout the season, we had a lot of good preparation, but also challenges that arose from those. And there were some, for each line, the O-line especially as well, there were some times where things were not too well, I would say, because we had a lot of mistakes in our eyes that we wanted to fix, and we are quite perfectionist, I think, who always want to get everything right, and so there were some moments where we were not comfortable, and we still figured out a way to get through it together, which I believe is our biggest mental strength as a team.
Amazing. Well, I mean, I think we could ask these guys questions all day long. Unfortunately, we got to kick them out of here because we got more guys coming. And now, Benji, you got one more question here?
Who's going to win EUC?
Who's going to... Oh, the final question. Well, I think I know what they have to say. Who's going to win EUC?
We are.
It's simple. Simple like that. Thank you very much.
Saying it though.
Nice. Manifestation, right? Speaking it into these guys snatched victory from the jaws of defeat today. Only just, but they made it work. Congratulations to Team Germany Mixed. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be back with some replacements for these wonderful guests. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as I said, I've magically recreated the person next to me. We are now with Ali Ticknell. Is that right? I've got it right. I do. From GB Women. They've just come off a win today. They got the Ireland, poor Ireland, the home team, suffered 2 losses on opening day on their showcase pitch, but I'm sure you're not too sad about that as far as where you're sitting. Tell us about your role a bit. I think you're with GB Women, but maybe it's a bit beyond that. Why don't you go on and tell us a bit about that first?
Yeah, so I'm actually the performance director for GB Ultimate. So I am part of a GB committee that oversees all of the GB squads. So that's men's, women's mixed, under 17s through to great grandmasters, beach, indoors, and grass. So that's a lot of squads. So I'm part of a committee that oversees that, and my role is basically focusing on performance and how we develop our performance.
Well, so far, job one today. You've got the win. As far as your performance markers, as far as indication, this is something that is a long-term project. Are you obviously represent every single division, every single delegation? Are you there on the ground for them? Are you writing these? Are you writing these for coaches? Tell us, give us a little bit more. Let's get a little in depth in your role. I'll squeeze you for some more info here, and then we'll talk a little bit about that game.
Okay, so in terms of the role, a little bit more. It's the main thing I do is appoint the people who then run the squads. So all of the volunteers and the managers and the coaches are appointed by the committee and largely by me. And that, to me, is the biggest part of the job, is getting the right people in place to actually run the teams and to look after those teams for the rest of the season. And then it's connecting the dots between each of the cycles. So even if we have a change in staff, we're still drawing lessons from one cycle to the next. And in the committee, we've got loads of experience. I've been involved with GB for 5 European cycles now, either as a player or as the performance director. So it is about kind of building on what can we learn from each cycle. And how can we bring all of those squads together, similar to with Germany? How can we make it feel like one group as well?
Wonderful. I'll jump to the other side of the couch in a bit, but Nate, sounds good to hear about the delegation. As far as when you are on a sideline with a team like this, do you have an active vocal role? Are you kind of in the background just letting the coaches do their job? Are you a screaming fanatic? Tell me about how you end up treating your in-game performance, seeing as you've got such a broad, overreaching role for the delegation.
I try and stay in the background and let the coaches get on with it, but I end up getting vocal at points because it's hard not to, especially having been in those games, especially having played with GB and been on those players' shoes. It's hard not to get vocal, but I do try and sit back where possible and let the coaches and the managers do their job. And most of the time that's very easy because they're all very good at what they do.
Wonderful. I guess it's good. It's sometimes hard to I trusted you. I know you guys are put into the right position, but anytime things slip away, sometimes I know how that feels. Any questions from this side of the room as far as the game goes, or anything for Ali about her position and her role with GB Performance?
Yeah, I do have a question. Going back to what Tom said about the O-line needing something very different than the D-line. What do you think are some specific points people should watch when maybe coaching or being the captain of one of those teams? What do you tell your O-line? What focus on for a D-line?
Yeah, I mean, my job outside of Ultimate is sports psychology. So I've spent quite a lot of time thinking about this, both at work as well as a player. And I think the mentality, in my experience, of an O-line and a D-line is quite different. I think O-lines tend to need a different kind of level of focus, a different level of calm, whereas a defensive line might need a different level of energy. But I think players on both lines need to be able to switch between the two very quickly if there are turns in games. So players need to be able to have both sides of that mentality. But I think there is a different mentality you need to be able to get into for each of those sides of play.
How does one train the switching? Do you have any specific tips?
Yeah, good question. I think, like with anything with sports psychology, is really about self-learning and about self-discovery. So what gets you in the best mental state to play your best game and get the best out of yourself. So a lot of it is learning things that work for you, whether that's if you need to play calm, do you need a breathing strategy? Do you need sort of, Nikki was talking about pre-performance routines, about going through the same routines to kind of get you in that level of focus? Or do you need to do a few sprints before a game to get yourself energized? So there's no kind of one quick fix. It's about trying different things and learning what gets the best performance out of you, I guess.
Hannah, Benji?
Benji, you called the game.
No, I didn't.
Sorry, you were
Morgan
watching
did.
it. I lie, tell a lie. We were watching it here in the night. We were trying to keep ourselves out in the dry rather than the wet. So we were watching our own coverage.
Wise.
Yeah, it's a good sign of a chef when you eat your own cooking, right? So, Ali, I mean, and also massive shout out to your excellent vintage shirt.
I was noticing that.
I was wearing a 2002 shirt under 24, so at least this is slightly more recent, but showing my age.
No, we like it. The shout out to the vintage GB
This is the
teams.
old couch, don't worry.
On the right side.
No
So-
offense to all the Nikki.
So obviously in your professional life, being a sports psychologist, it is something that players are now really focusing on across sports. It's not just ultimate. You see it all the time. I mean, certainly we just had Wimbledon coverage in the UK, and Ons Jabeur talked about her mental game, how to channel kind of the emotional energy in the right fashion. So as someone who works in that profession, apart from following your good self on Instagram, and as I do to get myself fed a bit of extra sports psychology, what resources would you direct players to go on that journey of self-discovery and kind of feed themselves and to develop their learning?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few well-known sports psychs that are out there now. I think if I'm going to give a shout out to one person, it's Kate Hayes, who has done a lot with the English women's football team and has worked with what was called the English Institute of Sport. And she is incredible, and I also like to promote women in sport as well. So she is an incredible voice to listen to, and she's always been quite active on her Twitter as well. So I'd recommend her. But then there's a few different resources out there. There's a site called Believe Perform as well. There's lots of good articles on there. They're generally written by people who are coming through in the industry and are very good at researching a lot of the background as well as putting their own experiences into practice. So Believe Perform's another website to look out.
Awesome. And in your own experiences, having represented GB in the past, for the teams here out on the fields in Limerick, what are your top 3 keys for them to get medal success? Because you are, of course, a European champion in your own right.
I am, yeah. So for me, the things to focus on are one game at a time. A very good old teammate of mine once said, you don't climb a ladder by focusing on the top rung. And so I think just one step by step by step. Any good sports psych would say control the controllables. Focus on what you can control, accept what you can't, and let it go. And I think to try and make it 3, I think it's knowing that it's a long game. So I think as soon as I started playing week-long tournaments, you realize just that emotional drain of kind of week long. You get to Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's a bit of a dip and you have to pick yourself up again. So I think finding ways to manage that, accepting when you're going to have less good games, you're not going to feel on your top, and you need to kind of step aside and get yourself back together again.
Well, certainly the GB women are thinking about their recovery. Of course, the reason why you're with us,
They're
and
in
we're
bed.
very lucky to have you with us, is because they've all gone to bed. So clearly taking that rest and recovery from an emotional as well as physical perspective, getting a good night's sleep is very important, folks. So thank you so much for your time, Ali. I'll pass back to Steph.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for being with us. I guess tomorrow you'll be at Field 9 at around 3 o'clock. GB playing Italy on the live stream, of course. Part of the delegation. We'll see you there. Thank you for being right here and on this show. We're going to take another quick break, replace our guests once again, and be right back with you for our last segment. Thanks.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
become a member, and
find
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Here we're just swapping people to my left. I've got Luca Bouchon and Johan. Get this, I'm gonna get it right. Van de Woude. Huh?
Okay, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's as well. That's as well as I've ever done it, I think. I've butchered it more often than I've got it right. But we've got two players, often teammates, but I've coached them both as teammates. Last week in Nottingham, teammates. This week, and particularly tomorrow, opponents. So it'll be good to get a piece of their mind. As such, I'll just tip you off as our stream. That is a game at 3 o'clock as well. So while Ali will be watching GB in Italy, on our other stream field, France and Netherlands live in the Open Division, these two will be doing battle. Let's
and we were just unfortunate enough to not make quarters by 1 point 3 times in a row. I think if you looked anything at the stats, Tom Blasman just destroyed everyone on the field, and we had some.
He's a star.
He's a star. I think he'll be here again, so have a look out for him. He's going to be a fun player to watch for sure. For the rest, the team was a great vibe. Felt like the old U teams, the old Dutch U teams. It was definitely like a look at the past from the under 20 and under 17 teams. Last under 24, so gonna make it all this weekend.
And tell us, how is your hand now? Are you playing this week?
Yeah, I am playing. We had a practice game this morning against Denmark, and it was pretty okay. Still feels a bit awkward. It's a bit stiff, but overall, yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And Luca, as a Frenchman, you've spent time in Amsterdam now. I think this is tell me if I'm wrong, this is your first cap for France. So you've actually represented Netherlands before France. Before we talk about your French team and teammates, talk about what it's like playing for a national team that's not your home nation.
Well, flags are similar. They work both ways, So that was cool. No, it was great. I mean, it was a great experience for me. It was very fun. I've spent a lot of time with these guys, like just practicing with some Huts guys, some AUC guys. So a lot of them are like just very good friends, and we had a great time. So overall, it almost felt like my national team. I'm very happy to represent France still. Like that was a big dream of mine for a long time. So I'm delighted to do that now.
Nice. Looking forward to the next step. So we'll get into that. I'll give one more question, and then I'm gonna throw to Benji. And I'm gonna stick with Luca here. But yeah, talk about Team France. You guys had a nice run at Windmill. Talk about how that feels to be living out your dream now. That was your dream. You've been selected. You've been through the training camps. You're ready. Day one for you guys is tomorrow. How's it all feel?
It's the deepest roster I've ever played with. It's just filled up with talent. It's amazing. Vibes are excellent. It's a whole new generation, so we have to build everything, but we still benefit the experience of like players like Crash and Bilou who did like previous cycles. So it's just great vibes. I'm just loving this team so far. It's been I can't wait to play. Like it's time to perform. It's time to show what we got, and I'm excited for that.
Wonderful. Benj, what do you got for us?
Let's get the pleasantries out of the way. Time to start talking some smack. Why are you going to win tomorrow? Come on, put it all out there.
Let's start. Which corner are we starting in here, Benji? Let's start with the Dutchman. I know Ravi's watching and taking notes.
So we're gonna win because we're the better team. Like Lucas said. Deepest roster he's ever played on, but then again, he never played on the Dutch senior team.
I actually trained with you.
Yeah, you trained, but didn't play. So yeah, you were eligible to play with our team. He didn't. He's missing out. It might be the deep team he has, but we have Tom Lasman, and he's gonna.
No pressure, Tom.
No.
Love you, Tom.
Okay, let's hand it over to the Frenchman. See what he's got to say.
Do I really have to say anything?
Well, you've said your team's deep, but how are you going to beat the Dutch?
I think
What's really going to go down?
even
tomorrow?
French clubs have outperformed the Netherlands like at Tom's tourney. It's like one club from our country is above you. Do I have to say anything more?
I don't think so.
Woo! Okay, things are getting spicy. I love it. So now, I mean, I guess if I were to present some advantage here, like I'd say on paper, Luca might be right. Advantage to France, potentially, but in a windy conditions, throwers and tall players can make a big difference. I don't know who might have the advantage in throwers and height, but I might think that could fall into the corner of the Dutch.
I definitely know who has the advantage in height. That's no question. Sorry, we have Lars and Hartog, Sjoerd Derks, who are both over 2 meters. Do you have anyone above 2 meters?
No, we don't.
Ah, okay. Just to make sure.
Well, I mean, you've got Luca, Dutch small Bouchon, as we
Yeah,
were
that's how you
lovingly-
call me.
Indeed.
On stream.
Yes. You're small for a Dutchman, but
I
not
am,
more
I
height
am,
for other
I am.
people. You know, you've got the height is an obvious one. Well, let's talk a little about your coaches then, because we already mentioned that Ravi Vasudevan is going to be watching this one, and I'm sure your coaches will too, Luca. So who is in charge of France Open this season?
So Jean-Sébastien Guillou is our head coach. He was coaching previous cycles and did actually great results with France Beach. That's back in 2017, I guess, like finishing third at Worlds. And I think we're looking for the same results now, like top 3 in this EUC. And yeah, he's accompanied, let's say, like side coach is Ludovic Romano, who is bringing more of high level coaching, but from different sports. So he's really focusing on like roster vibes and attitude and everything, and I think that brings a lot. Actually, he's not bringing as much in terms of pure game knowledge, but I think we do have very talented players and very smart players that need more of a discipline and mental approach to the game to just perform. We got everything we need, and he's bringing the extra fire, the extra focus, and it's been great to have him. I'm loving this guy.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it sounds like you've had a ball when you've been going back and training with the lads rather than with the Dutch. And how about with Ravi? How's it been with him coaching, Johan?
Well, Ravi and of course Dan Epstein, they've been great. I think definitely for Dutch teams I've been on, they've gone for a different approach, bit more professional, I think, and overall the vibe has been good. A lot of different aspects where we've focused on, so we're ready.
Well, it's been fun to see him going and doing what a certain Rapazzo did, moving away from the booth and taking on the clipboard. It's been a joy to see. Well, so there's often at times, I think, as you say, you have the mental force out there on the fields, but the coaches can add a little bit extra too. And it's interesting to see what other sports does your coach come from with the knowledge.
Does that work? Athleticism? Athletics, yeah. So he's good. And football, high-level football, so yeah, soccer.
All right. Well, we've had that mentioned a couple of times previously, high soccer mentality of athletes coming in and playing ultimate. So we'll see how it works out tomorrow.
I see that you are proudly wearing an Isno jersey. Obviously, you two were both out with Isno in the glamorous city of Cincinnati last year, right?
We were.
Well, glamorous maybe not so much, but we were there.
Everything accurate about that except the glamour.
Dish us the dirt on Coach Patso.
Ah, shit.
Oh, okay. I think
You got a story.
Yeah, I think the most important one has to be the French final, right? Point number 1, French final. We were up 6-1.
That's his fault?
Well, you can ask Steph, it's his fault, but he brought the whole team back to a very calm state after we were hyped to get 6-0 up.
That's true.
Hey, it made it a really fun game to call. So you know what? it was all right.
Yeah.
Why both teams decided for the last few points that the only place you're allowed to score was the front corner of the end zone, I'm not sure, but it was quite fun.
That's why he's back on ULTI.TV. He's like just bringing the heat, but like yeah, he's just making the games better for everyone to watch.
Okay, but to be fair, we still won that game front French nationals. We won Toms with 2 comeback victories. A lot of that is also on his shoulders. Is he blushing?
I'm gonna leave now.
Give him the mic. Defend yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, we won that game. Where there was lots of reasons for timeout and calmness. We were overconfident and blowing our own fucking horns, sitting on the ground doing kayak celebrations and getting well ahead of ourselves.
That was dope.
Yes, well ahead of ourselves. The trees needed chopping down, and I was there to chop them down. I can't wait to go apply to coach that team again and then cut both your asses from that team.
I was going to ask what it was like to coach these two, but I think that's our answer.
Yeah, problem 1 and problem 2. So I'm happy to hear it back, but I can dish it out too. No, they were obviously both wonderful, and I'm happy that there are definitely moments where I've told them that they can be better and done wrong. There's definitely times that they've given me feedback on my coaching, and I think I would hope overall that we're still able to squeeze them into an interview without putting them in headlocks. That we're all pretty happy with the way that season went at the end. You can tell them off stream, otherwise you can put it in the comments. No, he's a total dick, if that's the way it was. But I don't believe so. We all went really well. Benj, anything from the coach?
Yeah. What are the other teams in your division that you're kind of seeing as maybe your rivals on and maybe off the field as well?
You guys could maybe both answer this together, Henry.
Yeah.
Want to start?
Well, GB, Belgium are looking good. Belgium, of course, missing ref. That's going to be interesting. Germany in the back, showing up. We haven't seen you play at all. So show us, and then we'll think about it. I'm joking. No. We did? Oh, London Invite. Yeah, well.
The very important London Invite.
Who even watched that?
Hey, to be fair, if you want to watch it, you can go back and watch it live. Well, you can't watch it live anymore because it's already happened. But you can go and watch it for free on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel. Yeah. We are good to you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't watch any Ultimate. I've never watched any Ultimate.
This is a downright lie.
Yeah, back to the serious question. I think GB are they've been clear favorites for the past every AUC. Germany has done a strong showing at London Invite. I think teams were tired there, so I don't know how true is that victory, how prepared is that team, but they definitely have weapons that have been super hard to stop for the past 15 years. I mean, I won't mention them, but Nico Müller, I love you. I'm sorry. I have to. I've told him, it's okay.
Restraining orders coming in.
Yeah.
GB, Belgium. Actually, Austria beat us at Windmill. In these conditions, they have some hookers. They have a very big target. I don't know his name. Maybe Christina can help me. Blonde guy, very tall.
Number 97.
Holtzy.
Yes. What is his actual name?
Oh my God, he's massive.
Yeah.
This dude is big and he can catch and jump. So yeah. Looking forward to that. I think this UC is so stacked. It will be so exciting. I'm a bit sad that these conditions are like this because I think we've done a lot of work and it's now back to probably Huck and D or small ball. But I love small ball. I love hucking. I'll have fun.
Could work out in your favor, Luca.
Here's another one. Who's one player each from your team that people maybe aren't so familiar with, but by the end of the tournament, they are absolutely going to be familiar with?
Okay, I'm going to start. Léo Chéret. You've seen him at under 20. They've medaled silver at under 20 with the French team. And he's crazy. He's got so much confidence. He's got Sothi throws. We've seen him throw a scuba in front of the end zone in the Windmill final. He can get crazy bids. he's a fun teammate. He has got a very positive vibes. Works hard. He's a star. I can't wait.
Leo Cheret.
Leo Cheret. 77, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Drew. For the last season, UFO season, he was captaining me. He's a great player. He's on the D line. He's a super smart player. I think it's surprising almost that people don't know him, but it's because he doesn't play any big clubs. So he needs to get out there more, and people need to watch him more.
Do you know what's his last name?
Lee.
Drew Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, number one.
Yes, number one.
He's number one. Okay. Benj, anything else?
That's it from me, I think, for now, unless anyone else on this side of the sofa has...
Well, I think that's going to be it from all of us. Before we do wrap up, a quick recap of tomorrow's games. There's so many of them, but the most important ones are going to be on ULTI.TV. 11 o'clock, Switzerland, Denmark in the open division. At the same time, Spain and Israel on field 9, also open. At the 1 o'clock or 13 o'clock time slot, Sweden, Spain in the women's division, Finland, Slovakia in the mixed division. We're very excited about that time slot because we've got ULTI.TV crew and cast members on both fields. Luna playing for Spain and Lucia playing for Slovakia. Lucia and Philip. Then, of course, France, Netherlands. These two boys get to duke it out. Great Britain, Italy, where Ali will be keeping a keen eye. And in the final time slot, Belgium, Norway in the mixed division, and Sweden, Slovenia in the open division.
Don't forget the 9 o'clock round of games where we have two of the favourites in the women's division matching up, Italy and France. I think that could be a real banger. And I'm really intrigued to see Poland, Lithuania in the mixed division because Lithuania had a really good indoors. They have got some legit players. They finished 14th, I think, at Windmill, and Poland have got the mixed team looks really strong to me. So I think that could be a sneaky banger as well.
Nice. Thanks for my team for pulling up my socks. My screen doesn't fit the whole schedule, and they've got me covered. Thanks for that. We've got the whole day covered. Thanks you at home for watching. Thanks to all our guests, these two here, Ali, Nikki, and Torben. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to keep doing this and fill you in on what's happening here in Limerick, and bringing you all the action. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond. We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond. We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch,
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe. ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
We are